Never thought I'd get to do this again.
Good afternoon, Jank enthusiasts. I'm MBT, and this is 10-Minute Testing. It was super cool of Konami to make 25 changes on the ban list in celebration of the 25th anniversary, but would it have killed them to make one that actually does something? Ah well, there's one deck enabled by the recent changes that you all have been chomping at the bit for, despite the fact that it sucks. Presenting ORCUST.
The introduction to TOS format.
So here's the list. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course the card by card. But first, this video is sponsored by Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck. Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck is the #1 place to go if you need a pack simulator, a card database, or want to read a wealth of strategy articles. They also post breakdowns and lists from every major TCG and Master Duel tournament, including the Master Circuit series. Give them a look at www.ygoprodeck.com. With that, let's ogle ORCUST. ORCUST is a series of dark machine monsters that serve as a gentle reminder that one should not play God, no matter how much you want your sister to not be dead anymore. These monsters enable a series of links that do a whole lot of fiddling for the payoff of a non-targeting send on both players' turn. This low-investment, high-impact engine was responsible for the end of TOS format, eventually catapulting its Orcussy to the top of the tier list. Since then, the band has been banned, and without consistent access to Harp Horror, the deck wasn't worth splashing as an engine outside of some very specific super heavy samurai setups. Until now! Now that the harp's out of the hole, the engine slots nicely into Bestial Horus. This strategy, meant to recoup the losses produced by King's Sarcophagus by playing monsters that plus when sent to the graveyard, is a perfect fit for these affronts to God. That deck is also missing a convincing normal summon, so rather than use the Resonators, as has been popular in recent topping lists, we're going to use Girsu, a card I was convinced literally could not exist at the same time Harp was legal. I guess we're going to put that theory to the test, backing up Ding with a whole host of new dongs. So with that, let's get into the card by card. Let's begin with the ORCUSTs. First, we've got 3 copies of Girsu, the ORCUST Mech Knight. If this card is normally special summoned, you can send an ORCUST or World Legacy from your deck to the graveyard, and if you have 2 other cards in this card's column, you can treat this card as a tuner this turn. If you control no other monsters, you can special summon a World Legacy token to both players' fields in defense position, a perfect card for protecting against impermanence. We're also playing 1 copy of Armageddon Knight, who is a honorary ORCUST, followed by ORCUST Harp Horror. You can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon an ORCUST monster from your deck except Harp Horror, and you are locked into dark monsters. ORCUST symbol Skeleton can be banished from the graveyard to target an ORCUST in your grave, special summon it, and of course it has the dark lock. ORCUST Nightmare can't be destroyed by battle with a link monster and can be banished from the graveyard to target a face-up monster on the field. You can't special summon monsters except dark monsters for the rest of the turn, and you can send a dark machine monster from your deck to the graveyard except Nightmare. If you do, the targeted monster gains attack equal to the level of the monster sent to the graveyard times 100. Finally, we've got World Legacy World Wand, which, of course, is only being played for this effect. You can banish this card from your graveyard, target a banished ORCUST monster, special summon it, and you are dark locked. Finally, we are on 1 copy of Scrap Recycler. You can access it super easily, and it enables a bunch of really powerful plays. After that, we've got 3 copies of Imseti, Glory of Horus, the Scarmophagus Searcher. If you control King Sarcophagus, like all of them, you can special this from the graveyard, and you can send 2 cards from your hand to the graveyard, including this card, to add a King Sarcophagus from your deck to your hand, then draw a card. After that, we've got Kebasenuef, Aegis of Horus, and 1 copy of Happy, Happy, Happy. This seems to be the ratio that people are comfortable playing, and I can imagine why. You don't want to be loading up on these bricks. After that, we've got 3 copies of the Bestial Lubellion, 2 copies of Druisworm, 1 Magnamut, 1 Sarnir, 1 Baldrake, and 3 Ash Blossom. For spells, we've got 2 Triple Tactics Talents, 1 Rhoda, 1 Foolish Burial, 1 Called by the Grave, triple Pharaonic Sarcophagus. Horus monsters you control can't be destroyed by card effects that don't target them, and you can send a card from your hand to the graveyard to send a Horus monster from your deck to the graveyard. You can only use that effect up to 4 times per turn, then once per turn at the start of the damage step. If your Horus monster battles an opponent's monster, send that opponent's monster to the graveyard. We've got a Branded Regained, a Babel, 3 Infinite Impermanence, a Branded Beast, and an ORCUST Crescendo. It still says Climax on Edo Pro. That's unbelievable. In the extra, we've got Dispotter, we've got Baron de Fleur, Hope Harbinger, Coach King, Giant Trainer, the Herald of the Horus, Dingirsu, the ORCUST of the Evening Star, which can only be special summoned once per turn, and can be Xyz summoned by using an Orcust Link monster as its entire material. If a card you control will be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can detach material from this card instead, and when special summoned, you can activate one of these effects. Either send a card your opponent controls to the graveyard or attach a banished machine monster to this card as material. We've got Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord in here as well because we have really easy 8 access, followed by Access Code Talker, Apollosa, Long Girsu, Double Galatea, SP, Barricade Borg Blocker, IP Masquerena, and Link Haribo in the side. We've got 3 Nibiru, 3 DD Crow, a Harpy's Feather Duster, triple Tactics Thrust, 1 Herald of the Abyss, triple Evenly Matched, and a Dimensional Barrier. So with that, let's jump into the games. Our first match is up against Bestial Buster Blader, which should probably clue you in as to how powerful I think this strategy is. We've opened very well. Let's see what this hand does uninterrupted. We're going to begin with Pharaonic Sarcophagus, and we're going to activate the effect of Kings to put the hand in the Scarmophagus. We're going to send a whole bunch of cards to the graveyard and then get summoning. We're going to start with a Girsu. That's going to send an Orcust Nightmare to the graveyard, then activate the effect to summon 2 tokens. Next, we'll make a Link Haribo and summon back this copy of Imseti and this copy of Happy with our Nibiru Protection Live. We're going to go for the Orcust line, going Galatea into the Nightmare, into Harp Horror, into Symbol Skeleton, into Babel, into Galatea in order to set a copy of Crescendo. And then, of course, at the end of all of this, we can go into a Dingirsu, attach, and what do you know? This Dingirsu is not a Link monster, so we can make an IP Masquerena, Symbol Skeleton back this copy of Galatea so we can keep the trap live and pass turn. Our opponent draws for turn. That is pretty funny with no cards in our hand. We're going to go for Galatea here. We're going to shuffle back a card as the Bestial Lubellion. They're going to go ahead and grab a Bestial, then set 3, activate the effect of the card Destruction, and chain Bestial Druis Worm, summoning itself. They'll banish a Link Haribo, then bring back the Bestial Lubellion. They'll activate the effect of the Lubellion. We'll go ahead and activate the effect of the Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord in order to negate it, and then at point of resolution, we can activate Symbol Skeleton in order to bring back this copy of Dingirsu, activate its effect to send a card our opponent controls to the graveyard, and get that bad boy off the field. They're going to tribute summon a Mana Dragon Xernatron, which I was not prepared for. We're going to go for SP Little Knight and banish one of the back row. They're going to get in for just a little bit and pass back to us. Should be an easy cleanup from this position. We're going to begin by bringing out this copy of Happy, then activating the effect of the Galatea and using King Scarmophagus to get Kebasenuef to our side of the field. We'll go Long Girsu into Access Code Talker and trigger the effect of the Access Code Talker. We'll activate the effect in order to banish a dark, but God, I think we only have darks, so we aren't going to be able to win here. We're going to put them really low and then pass back. They do have a prologue in hand, but that shouldn't be enough. They're going to go for Odd Eyes Revolution Dragon. This is a really interesting deck. We'll go ahead and negate that with our Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord under the assumption they're on 1 card. We'll just go ahead and bring out this Kebasenuef, then activate Access Code Talker, banishing another dark. That does trigger this copy of Mana Dragon Xernatron, but now we know what we're dealing with. We'll bring out a whole bunch of monsters and go to the battle phase, getting in for well over lethal. Our second match is up against the other very powerful Bestial deck in the format, Bestial Runic. Unfortunately, we're going second, and our hand is just full of the types of cards you don't want to draw. That's always been the problem with ORCUST. They have a ton of soft garnets, and we've opened all of them. They're going to go for Hugin here in order to grab a copy of Fountain, then they're going to make a Coral Dragon, Runic Fountain here, into a Flashing Fire to summon a Runic from extra deck. They're going to get a Gary, then activate the effect of the Fountain for 3. Let's see what they end up with. It looks like, oh god, a Bestial might be enough. They're going to draw a card off the Coral Dragon, 2 names plus 2 Runic spells plus Nibiru. Doesn't bode well. We'll begin with a Lubellion. We're going to normal summon this copy of Girsu and activate the effect. They will let it go, which is horrifying. We'll go Harp Horror into 2 tokens. Then afterwards, they're going to go for a Baldrake. We will Magnamut, targeting our own copy of Harp Horror, but they will go for Baron de Fleur in response. So they are going to get to summon the Baldrake. We will go to a Link Haribo into a Barricade Borg Blocker, activate the effect to pitch this copy of World Wand, then activate its effect to bring back the Harp Horror. Okay, we've made it to the Orcusts. Unfortunately, Galatea is going to be eaten off the field by way of the Baldrake, so we're going to go ahead and Harp Horror out a Symbol Skeleton and scoop him up. So it's time for game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent's playing Dragon Link, and well, our hand looks pretty good. We've got access to Sarcophagus, and we have a couple of pieces of non-engine. I feel pretty good about this. They're going to begin with, of course, the Black Metal Dragon into a Striker Dragon. This enables them to make a DMD, then activate the effect of the DMD and get impermed. Their hand is not good for extensions. They're going to go for a Dragon's Ravine here, a bit of a soft garnet. They're going to pitch this triple Tactics Thrust to get an Absa Router. Then they're going to go ahead and cycle for Boot Sector Launch, activate the Boot Sector Launch, and special out this Tracer. That's going to enable them to go into a Hieratic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres and pass turn. We draw for turn, and it's pretty good. We're going to go Scarmophagus. We're going to pitch this copy of Harp Horror to send a copy of Imseti. We'll summon it, then activate Sarcophagus again in order to pitch a Happy. Afterwards, we'll overlay for a copy of Photon Lord. They will Heavenly Spheres. We will activate Photon Lord, and they will reveal the set card is Infinite Impermanence. Oh, God, okay. Well, they're going to go Heavenly Spheres here for a copy of Magnamut and activate the effect. We'll have to worry about that next turn. For now, we're going to go for Regained. We'll activate the effect of the Harp Horror. They will Ash Blossom here, but we do get to draw a card off the Regained. We'll activate its effect, and what do we draw but an Armageddon Knight? We'll go for Armageddon Knight, sending a copy of Orcust Nightmare, and we should be be able to just pop off from here. We're going to go for a World Wand, bring back the Nightmare, and then afterwards we can link off for a Galatea, activate the effect of Galatea for a Babel, and then afterwards we can go ahead and flip up the Babel, and then activate from the extra deck a Dingirsu effect, sending this Boot Sector launch to the graveyard and getting over our opponent's last remaining monster. Finally, we're going to go for a Foolish Burial for a copy of Harp Horror for next turn. Our opponent grabs a Lubellion. They draw a Recharger for turn. They're going to go for Lubellion to get a copy of the Druis Worm. They'll activate Druis Worm targeting Absorouter, then go for a copy of Lubellion, Druis Worm targeting our copy of Dingirsu. We will let it go, and then afterwards we can ORCUST Nightmare this copy of Lubellion, sending a copy of Symbol Skeleton to the graveyard, regain Shuffle back a monster, chain Harp Horror in order to summon a Girsu from deck, and then at the point of resolution we can activate the effect of the Girsu. Our opponent's going to chain the effect of Branded Beast, and we will chain both the effect of our Symbol Skeleton in the graveyard and the ORCUST Crescendo in order to grab another Girsu. We will send a Nightmare to the graveyard, we will send their last remaining card, and they are left on a Recharger. They will set one and pass, should be able to win pretty easily from this position. We'll go Scarmophagus, we will send a copy of Kebesenuev, Imseti, Kebesenuev, happy, let's go to the battle phase and get in for well over lethal. Woof. So it's time for game 2, and if that isn't just a classic Dragon Link hand. You're missing the starter there, buddy. They're going to go ahead and pass turn, setting a regained and hoping for the best. We draw for turn, and our grip is fantastic. We're going to begin, of course, with Pharaonic Sarcophagus. We're going to Kings away this Kebesenuev for an Imseti. They will DD targeting the Imseti and then activating the effect of the Branded Regain to shuffle it back. We'll just keep going in on the King Sarcophagus, setting another Imseti and then a copy of Happy. We'll special summon 2 of them, and then we'll activate Triple Tactics Talents to look at the hand, at which point our opponent will concede a clean 2-0. Thank God they bricked. Winning against a bricking Dragon Link player isn't exactly what I wanted for the boss of Toss. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1. King Sarcophagus aids both engines in accessing cards. It gives you access to Nibiru Protection, Spell Protection, or Giant Trainer to try and draw more engine. 2. The ORCUST engine gives you access to an Omni Negate, which the other engines do not get. And 3. Branded Regained and King Sarcophagus give you a better grind game than almost anything else in the format. And the cons. 1. It's bricky. None of the engines get you to any of the other engines with the exception of Giant Trainer draws, so sometimes you're just going to end on a Bestial board or just finish on an ORCUST. 2. Ironically, it struggles to play through the Bestials. A Bestial on an ORCUST will lower the ceiling of your end board dramatically. And 3. The ORCUST engine just isn't very good. A quick play send to Graveyard or Omni isn't strong enough for the investment and brickiness required compared to something like Bestial Runic or Horus Bestial Resonator. Overall, just like Longirsu, we might be trying to reanimate something that should have absolutely stayed dead. So that's that. Thanks so much for watching. These 10-minute testings are functionally subsidized by and frequently suggested by my patrons, including the ones you see in front of you. I want to give a quick shout out to the following: Elena Tincher, Alex Perea, Allison Elliott, Brett Henry, Canner, Darkmaster Zork, Derpin Dragon, Devin Senpai, DJ Elephant, Enraged Peacock, Gravity, John Piet, Juan Cruz Avila Zati, Night Mary, Legal Rights, Lockstone, Luis Hernandez, Matthew M. Derezzo, MBT Play Medolce, Melfi Stan, Mike Carlotti, N54 Lionheart, Puffins of Doom, Rose Lapine, Solar Flare the Ricka Queen, Troy Says By Erasure is Gay, Vincent Storm, Who's Nick, Wonder Waffle, and Yuki. I couldn't have done it without you.